Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gautam with my boys Matt and Chuck. Gentlemen, we we're kind of in a little fun little middle ground once again. Regular season is over, and the Warriors, for the third time in 5 years, don't know where they're gonna be. What's the next step here? But we know the next step. We don't know if it's gonna turn into anything else. But gentlemen, how we doing, boys? Welcome back. Regular season, 82 games done. Got one more to find out, maybe two if we're in the play-in. But how we doing, man? Matt, Chuck, talk to me, boys.
Man, I feel like the most important update is I am closer in my life than I have ever been to losing my hair because I was pulling it out in clumps on Sunday. Um and it didn't pay off. Did not pay off. But, hey, life's good. We move, but God, that was stressful. Matt, how about you, brother?
Best I've ever been, man. No, that was that was one of the best games of the year, man. But what a fucking shit show, dude. I could not believe. We'll get into it, but man, just the loudness of every mistake was so tough. Obviously, you guys, we all hate the I think no one likes the in-between phase of any part of life. I think the in-between phase of Warriors fandom was especially rough. And that's unfortunately where we are.
Quite literally in between potential glory and the summer starting on Thursday. But yeah, let's get right into it, man. Warriors drop a heartbreaker, couple heartbreakers since the last time we spoke. I think we last talked 4 games left, predicting whether it was 4-0, 3-1. Should have known it was going to be 2-2 with us. I think Matt, you called the Spurs loss. Chuck, you called the Clippers loss. Um, my dumbass picked them 4-0, so here we are. But 2-2, Warriors end up as a seventh seed, but that Sunday, kind of playing for all the marbles. You knew you win, you're in the sixth seed, playing the Lakers first round, lose. You got to play a game Tuesday against Memphis at home. The latter is where they're at, man. But talk me through the game. What was your initial reaction, Matt? Because for the most, it was a high level basketball game. I mean, the stars showed out. Kawhi, Harden, both combined for 66, I think. Steph and Jimmy themselves went both had 30-point nights. Overtime game, last game of the season, kind of everything hanging in the balance. Talk to me, Matt. What was your takeaways from that? What was your reaction to that loss, man? Let's just get right into it.
Well, immediate reaction was like I was uncontrollable. I was at a bar with my girlfriend, man. We had a great time watching it. But I was just like, I was in hell. People around me didn't give a shit about basketball. They were watching the Masters to the left. But
Congrats, Rory.
it was it was rough. It was a rough go. I will say, like I think it's been said a lot that it was a great game. Okay, I'm not going to say the Warriors are like pathetic, that it's as bad as the Spurs loss. It's not. That was probably the worst loss of the season, and we're not in a binds all right now if we win that game. Um, I think it was just two great teams, and I think a few weeks ago, Chuck, you got on this, and I unfortunately had my building's fire alarm went off before we get into it. But the Clippers are fucking good. They're just really good, and Kawhi, we all kind of forget this guy looks like when he really is both healthy and gives a shit. And he was so dialed in that entire game. Pretty, in my opinion, pretty obviously the best player on the floor that game, especially when it mattered. The guy just like you, he was shooting and it was going in. He somehow, Jimmy's a beast, but he was too much for Jimmy. You kind of just forget how strong this guy is. And um, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway. Is just like it was two great teams getting at it. I think if you had to ask me to rank the best teams in the West, I'd say it's this is my thoughts right now. OKC one, Clippers two, Warriors three. If you made me, let's really boil it down. Um, and that was the second and third best team in the West going at it. Now, with that being said, dude, I am so sick of turnovers, man. And I just imagine we all know how Jimmy Butler feels about, stupid basketball players. And granted, he's playing with two Hall of Famers and Steph and Draymond, but he must look at these guys weekly and wonder how the fuck they got as far as they've gotten as many times as they have. Because Steph was tossing the ball everywhere, 8 turnovers for 30. I mean, the guys, to be clear, I think he had 18 in the fourth quarter or 21 between fourth quarter and overtime. Um, the Warriors aren't in that game without Steph, but also it's like there's certain things where I very frequently caught myself feeling like the ball needs to be in Jimmy's hands. And if he finds Steph, great. If he um, finds Pods, great. But that's the kind of guy, like, at the end of the game, I want him taking the ball off the court. Um, that doesn't mean I'm out on Steph or anything. I think the guy, he was awesome. Again, fourth quarter, he's the only reason, or one of the main reasons the Warriors stayed in this. Um, but yeah, that was kind of. Yeah, I just think this team's hideous, man. When they're bad. Draymond had a horrible layup miss. I couldn't. I mean, geez, talk about deja vu. I look back at Memphis, was it 3 years ago? That big the little floater. He just whatever. But no, I mean it's not the end of the world. If they win tomorrow, who knows where we're at? But right now, I'm dubious. But simultaneously, we saw a team get to a level. I think probably, and I'm talking about the Warriors to be clear. Um, we probably saw a team get to a level that 5 or 6 teams in the league can get to throughout that game. And additionally, hey, anybody who is worried about uh, playoff Jimmy, hey, he's here. He'll be fine. He's going to get his in the playoffs. I tweeted last week kind of the biggest questions for me, at least going into that game, and it was, can Pods actually do his thing as legit defense? Pods was good. Pods like he shot well. He converted the looks he had to hit. He got to the line a few times. Jimmy showed up, and the last question I had was about JK, and we'll get to that in a second. But what's I mean, you guys rolled the playoffs, and Steve Kerr fucking smiled and laughed. My guy, he said, "Nothing, nada, you're fucking out." See ya. So that's where I'm at. Chuck,
Yeah, man. I mean, like you said, that one was stressful. Uh, it is extremely frustrating to see the turnovers. Like you said, I think Jimmy kind of having like the end of the season must have been Jimmy having like the damn bitch you live like this meme, looking around at this team. He's like, wait, you guys just fucking huck the ball everywhere and do stupid stuff like this all the time. Um, but yeah, like I think we saw a lot of the good and bad because as I said, this Clippers team is unreal. I was kind of like on the take where, I was looking at this game and the more I was thinking about it, I was like, I think we're watching like the two teams that present the biggest threat out of the West, outside of Oklahoma City. And that was kind of the vibe I got. I think like the Lakers are in that mix too, but we saw what this Clippers team can do at their peak. Harden was hitting tons of tough shots, and there were times where it was kind of the Harden of old, where it's like, well, if you try to stop him from scoring, he's just going to make the right pass, and if you give him space, he's going to hit that floater, or even if you don't give him space, he's just going to hit a tough step back right in your face. Kawhi was Terminator mode as usual. Looked insane defensively too. Hit almost every shot. Um, so I think that's the frustrating part is you look back and it kind of just accumulates where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we blew all of these games down the stretch. The Spurs game obviously being the first and foremost out of those. But, at the same time, you look at what this Warriors team can do and you're like, Harden was playing as well as he can play. Kawhi was playing as well as he can play. Zubac was dominant. And the Warriors were with them right until the very end. I mean, they were one smoked Draymond layup away from potentially going to double overtime.
is this on that
Um,
note? I mean, the Zubac thing, Chuck. I want to hit that real quick because you were on that a while ago. Is this Draymond's worst matchup maybe in the league?
I think by far, because I mean, there's really nothing he can do strength wise, um, against Zubox. And like he does his work. Like Draymond can be good against guys who are bigger than him when he's really strong or when they have to bring the ball down low. Like if you have to bring the ball down low around Draymond, he rips down, he's taking it from you, he's going the other way. Zubox is so good at putting himself in position that like by the time he catches the ball, it's over. Like he just catches it, he puts it up high. He's got insane touch. He doesn't even give Draymond a chance to like contest or to strip the ball away. And that's what makes him such a dangerous matchup. So, yeah, the good news, I guess, is that we know the Nuggets, even though the Warriors got that win last time, Nuggets one of their most brutal matchups, and so if they win tomorrow and they're looking up, in this bracket. I think on the bright side is that one of their worst matchups is going away in round one, regardless of who wins that series. But yeah, like there are frustrating points and there were things to nitpick with this Warriors team, and obviously ending up in the 7th seed sucks after all they've done. After it felt like, damn, like they might get in the 4-5 matchup. They could even climb up to 3. Oh, like 6 feels like a lock. And then suddenly it's like, oh great, the fucking play in again. A Memphis again. Like, god damn it. But yeah, like I mean, when you got to take what you can from a loss like that. And what I took from that is, man, when this team locks in, like when they really dial it in defensively, when they don't play a certain player, uh, they can hold with just about anyone, man. So I leave it like frustrated but extremely encouraged about this team. And
I was
I
talking about Gui Santos, to be clear.
yes,
God,
obviously Guy
would have loved
Santos,
would have
Guy
loved to see G
Santos,
out there.
problem causer.
Would have loved to see our highest plus minus guy out there last night. But no, man, my initial reaction was man, that if this is what the playoffs are going to be like, this is going to be a fun couple months. And yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat as you guys. Like overall, I think for me, like last night was more so like this was avoidable, like being in this scenario with the Spurs loss. But look, that they played really, really well. They had a chance to they had a couple chances to really solidify that 6th seed. That Spurs loss hurt way more than last night did. Last night was more so just like kind of like you said, when these guys are clicking, they can match up with the best of them. I thought I Chuck, you've said it before. Like we've said that the Clippers are probably one of their toughest matchups that we haven't really considered. And that all being said, man, like they're on the other side of the bracket. You end up with a win and then play Houston with four days off in between. It's not the worst situation. I'm pretty intrigued by the one thing I think I would have liked to see is Moses in for GP last night. I thought GP was kind of getting cooked defensively. Obviously hesitated on that Draymond. What he should have still made the layup, but just I'd like to see more of Steph, Jimmy pick and rolls and have Jimmy in that GP2 spot, like making the decision. He was just standing in the corner, kind of in the fourth quarter. It felt like Jimmy I feel like Jimmy could have been more involved in the fourth, just with the night he was having, and on top of Steph finding it in the fourth quarter. But overall, like you said, Matt, like you got Steph and you got Jimmy, and you know what you're gonna get from those two guys. You got guys like Pods. Moody looks great defensively. Like hopefully he can find the shot. And then whoever kind of flows in to the rotation on a nightly or matchup basis. The defense has been consistent since the trade. Like they can lock down. They have a championship level defense, and I think they're going to be able to hang their hat on that in any series. But yeah, I mean, I think also like on the larger sense, like they're 22-7 since the trade, and they've lost 3 of their last 5. They've had, I think this next game is going to be 11 games in 16 days or some shit, like or 17 days. So it's a brutal stretch. They've come out of it. You were the 11th seed in 25 and 26 when the trade went down. You finished with a home playing game to go play the Rockets. Like if you told us that at the deadline, I think we all would have jumped for joy that that was the case. So,
Speak for yourself.
all right, if you told me that going into the trade, I'd be happy with it. Yeah, they could have finished the job, sputtered down the stretch, but look, playoffs are here. You just got to win one. You still get some time off, and go from there. You got their side of the bracket is the Lakers, the T-Wolves, the Rockets, and the Warriors. You like your chances to come out of that 4-man group, assuming you play LA in the second round. Take your chances to play one of the Thunder, the Clippers, the Nuggets. Look, man, it wasn't supposed to be easy, but if you had to kind of draw up an ideal path, you've got it in front of you. But that is being said, like we have to get over the play-in demons to get there, which not a given, not a given.
The demons are getting an exercise. I kind of wonder is Gary Payton Steve Kerr's last hurdle? Like, see the last guy because he hasn't moved on from Looney nor should he. I'm positive that Looney's going to have a moment in the playoffs, if not more than one. And same thing for GP. But I mean,
I
just
honestly think that he played GP over Moses purely from I think last night was a coaching thing from Moses because there was like four or five loose balls that it just felt like Moody kind of gave up on that Kawhi out hustled him to. There's a couple that I forget which one he got kind of got the ball knocked away and then jogged to get it. There was like four or five of those that I remember. So and like you could see Steve Kerr on the sideline, at least
yeah,
Warriors broadcast was visibly upset at Moses. So I'm gonna hope that's what it was. And if that's the case, like hey man, all right. Like it wasn't a game seven. Like they didn't like Steph only played like 30 whatever 3 minutes or something last night. And I know it's a little skewed because they were going on a run when Steph was on the bench. So you were able to buy some minutes, but
yeah.
it wasn't it didn't feel like barring the JK benching completely, like it didn't feel like he was still playing minutes and you're managing to it I don't know. It wasn't like the hey, we need this. Like Kawhi played 48 minutes or whatever. Jimmy played 48. But like Steph playing 33, Draymond played like 35. So it didn't, I don't know. Maybe that I still think we're leaning on coaching moments versus like, hey, we just got to play our best guys right now. But
Yeah. Well, I think
hopefully
even
we'll
on
see.
that note, our best guys, right? I think at this point, do you guys agree that their best five, their starting five, they're their
Yeah.
best group?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think like you said, Gotham last night was like a GP2 has his faults, but he was hustling his ass off last night. And he was kind of their best chance they had in defending Harden. Moses came out like gangbusters the
Mm-hmm.
first like 20 minutes of the game, and then the effort kind of fell off. He wasn't like taking shots either. Like he had some shots, and he didn't really take them. So I'm kind of with you there. I think that was more just like a we need to go with who's doing the best right now in this game. I think when you're looking at like a series versus what was essentially a one game playoff, winner take all kind of deal. I think we'll see more Moses because it is their best lineup. Like
Mm-hmm.
that group, I mean, we saw them, especially like that first quarter stretch was really good. And we saw like, I mean, Steph was kind of struggling that first half, but you see the potential of this group when they really just dial it in defensively. Um, there's no one they can't contain. Like they just had the Clippers in hell for like a good 5 minute stretch there where they did not score a basket. And when we saw, I think the cool thing that we saw too was we saw like active, fully locked in offensive Jimmy last night for I think the first time we've really seen where he was like, "This is playoff Jimmy. This is what I do. Uh, I will carry us when Steph is off the floor, and even when Steph is on the floor, I'll take a huge amount of the responsibility." So, yeah, I still think that 5 man lineup is their best lineup that they can put out there.
So, contrary to popular belief, the best five-man lineup is not Steph, Pods, Kuminga, Jimmy, and Draymond. This was the thing. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to work on the guy. I don't know him. He's never going to meet me probably. But Anthony Slater has been like on this tear of like you would think that uh, JK was his beloved stepson. You know what I mean? Like at first he didn't love him, and now he's like, no, this is their guy. But that was the thing that's been pushed out a lot. I'm kind of just like, this is we're seeing it in action. And finally, guys, we saw he's benched. He got like bench. It wasn't like, hey, we'll give you a short leash like year two, year three, JK. It wasn't like any experimental stuff. It was like pretty loud and pretty consistent with what Steve Kerr has said the last like week or so with regards to um, we were in a better rhythm a few weeks ago, pretty pointed. Like a few weeks ago, JK was out. I like our group that we've had things going. What else do you say? There was one more that was just like, hey, this guy, oh, he just straight up said that Jimmy Draymond and JK can't fit. And I was concerned about this going into the playoffs because I right now, he's just pretty obviously not a winning player in the context of the Warriors. And he can cost them games sometimes or playing him kind of indiscriminately can cost them. And that's pretty obviously not going to happen. I was surprised that Gee also got benched, but it might have felt like hey, let
I
me
think that
push
was more
one.
like a hey, well, I'm
Yeah,
not playing JK. Sorry, Guy. Like I'm just gonna not play you today. But
yeah. But I don't think that lasts. I think he makes his way back into the
Guy's back.
rotation.
No, he's playing tomorrow
Um,
for sure.
but I mean, Chuck, get off, man. What do you?
Yeah,
Well, I
dude.
said get off. It's not get off and go off. Do your thing, man.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I think the thing that's crazy to me, and it's even wilder, I think what's like seeing Slater be the guy caping for it, even Marcus Thompson, like when the Warriors had on the Plus Minus podcast, he was caping for JK too. And I get the reasons. I get that he can bring a level of offensive creation that a lot of these other guys can't bring. Yes. What he also does is he takes away so much. He takes away the flow of the offense. He adds a cog into the defense that doesn't know where to be as a help defender. He does so many things that are antithetical to this Warrior system. And they tried. Like he came back after the injury. They plugged him into the rotation. Yeah, he had a good game against the Lakers. He also had like four other not great games against worse teams. So I completely understand why people look at him and they think, well, you need him. Like you need that skill set. Um, yeah, like the things he brings individually are important. The things he takes away from others far outweigh what he does individually. And the thing that is jarring for me is to see Kerr, who is like top of the top when it comes to press training. The guy will just talk circles around any subject to avoid demonizing someone because that's what you do. Like, you don't owe anything to the press. You don't care. Like, your job is to just give the right answers so no one gets pissed off and everyone goes home happy. And first and foremost is the players. And to see him say in plain terms, Kuminga, Jimmy, and Draymond does not work together. I can't remember the last time he said so plainly, this guy doesn't work. And yes, he said it within the context of a lineup, but to say that after the Portland game, a game they won, um, and then immediately, yeah, bench him for the entire next game, a must-win game. It really just speaks to where they're at with him right now. And they're willing to put aside the politics, they're willing to put aside whatever. They're just saying, this guy not playing gives us our best chance to win. And we are in winning time. So I don't understand why there's so many people who are so hung up about this. Like I we'll get into it later, but for our tweet of the week, when the Warriors were just firing defensively in that second quarter, I tweeted out, I said, funny how this defense cooks when a certain guy doesn't play. I didn't even want to say his name because I was like, I do not want to get name searched and found by all these freaks. Um, and then after the game, I got like five, six, seven replies and quote tweets that just said something along the lines of like, update? How did this go? Like, oh, how'd that work? And I was like, uh, really? Like this is you like dunking on me, being like, oh wow, they played the hottest team in basketball right down to the wire. Uh, and apparently that's bad because we lost. And they're just like, oh, you know who could have fixed this? The guy who doesn't play team defense or the guy who can't pass. Like that would have helped us against this Clippers team. It's actually driving me insane. Just like I know it's people online, they're going to be stupid, but like to see like the Warriors writers who've seen this guy, who've seen this thing play out for the last few years, cape for him and be like, "Oh, well, he brings this spark and he brings whatever and all that." I'm like, the veterans and Kerr are like done with him. I think they're making it as overt as they can possibly say. And you don't want to go into the playoffs, like injuries may happen. Maybe he gets thrown into the rotation. You don't want to say like, sayonara and like flip the birds at the guy and be like, we'll see you in the off season. Good luck riding the bench. But this is the closest I think it's been to like uncertain terms where they're just saying it's over. They didn't even do this with Wiseman. Yeah, I don't even remember them being, it would be like, oh, well, he's trying to find his footing, blah, 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 whatever. They just said, nope. Like,
Well,
Doesn't
the thing
work.
is, there was never a moment
Sorry.
with Wiseman where this team was in the playoffs and Wiseman was healthy. You know what I mean? It never happened. Like he was hurt during the whole title run, or at least he had just come off injury to the point where like reintegrating him was like a reasonable excuse to or something to not do. JK's like healthy. He's like he missed their half the season almost, and he's back and he's not getting minutes. We're not gonna get I don't think too deep into like off season stuff, but you got to imagine and all three of those guys, Chuck, you talked about, right? Slater, Thompson, and TK. There's a clip going around of them basically suggesting like this is probably it, and that's kind of that makes sense, right? This is not like you don't bet your guy you want to pay $20+ million to. The
I
only
mean,
other way I see this maybe going is just if the Warriors bow out in the first round and JK's benched, then there's some Joe Lake and Steve Kerr questions I think we might unfortunately see. That's kind of on my mind. Not that that would be reasonable at all, but I think we all know how Lakeland feels about JK. Um, Pretty uh, contentious topic probably between those two guys, I'd imagine. But TBD on that. But if, like the guy again, they had the best stretch of the season with this guy not playing, and it kind of reminds me again this time. But we all love Clay. I always hated though. I hated anybody. I hated the responses of people who ever got pissed off about the idea that Jordan Poole should start when Clay was back. And it's not anything against Clay. It's just that team, the Warriors, again, since then, in the last 6 years, had their best stretch of regular season basketball with Jordan Poole. That's their starting shooting guard. That 18-2 stretch, they haven't had a stretch like that. Since then, maybe it's comparable to this recent run at some point. But point overall is just that, like, the writing's there. Like, we've seen what success looks like. And unfortunately, it does not involve Jonathan Kuminga.
I mean, we've done this exercise on this fucking this podcast, like the last three episodes. Who would you take JK over? Not Looney, not GP2, not Gee. Gee didn't even play last night. Everybody that you take GP or JK over played yesterday. It's not like it was like some targeted benching of like, oh, like we're
And
missing.
we're talking about like a winning setting too. It's not like again, I think
Yeah.
if
He's just
you're
not a
the
win. He's
Brooklyn
not a
Nets,
winning player, man. Like
yeah.
it's not, and this is nothing as JK as a talent. Like he's got otherworldly athleticism. Like when he's on putting up empty numbers, like he can fill up the stat sheet. It's just not going to work on this team. He can't shoot, pass, defend, dribble, hit free throws well enough consistently to warrant any sort of extended run. I mean, it's year four, man. Like you're at a point. You're going into game 82 yesterday. I had to have a game, and Steve Kerr, blatant, like you said, Chuck, blatantly out here saying we cannot play well with this guy out here. And look, man, that's whoever you want to put the blame on. I think there's a lot of different people you can. I think maybe early on in JK's development, there was that all that Anthony Lamb stuff where he was playing over him and Moody. You can point fingers here and there, but at the end of the day, man, it comes down to the player. Like you have to be able to fit your game into what role is required of you, especially when you're not Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green. Or Draymond Green, perfect example of a guy that found his role and thrived in it. Like this team requires a certain play archetype that would fit for JK's mold, and he can't play that role. And so if you can't,
And that team wouldn't be good if JK wasn't maximized. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, exactly. And like, and it's we have a substantial sample size now. It was whatever 30 something games when JK was out. They got Jimmy. They went on a run. Since he's gotten back, I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding, man. Like it hasn't fit. It looks clunky. The numbers back it up. There's really nothing more you can ask at this point besides, look, we're gonna play him very situationally, if that, because otherwise we have guys that fit. Like there's no reason for us to play you when the stakes are this high. They have a chance, albeit maybe smaller than we hoped, but they have a chance to go on a massive run here and potentially win a title. That wasn't the case last year. That wasn't the case 2023. Even we saw JK get benched in that King series. Like we've seen this multiple times now. Like this isn't just like a one-off. Oh, he's getting the raw end of the stick. He's just not that good, man. He's just not doesn't fit this team. And all the best in the summer. I'm sure it's going to be a fun off season with a lot of different trade packages and sign and trade stuff. But Jonathan Kuminga, for all intents and purposes, is not a Warrior any longer until the Warriors, bow out. So, yeah, I mean, it
it's also just
sucks.
like last thing on that note though is like the question with Wiggins, right? So that was like you asked him last time, like we heard this about Kerr saying it just doesn't fit. And it was with Wiggs, right? He said JK and Wiggs couldn't really play together for a minute. I mean, there's like a I don't think it's a good argument, but if someone said like, hey, maybe JK thrives with Wiggins gone, and that's whatever. So if that's the case, get Wiggins out of here. I'm sorry, there's not any dilemma or argument between Jimmy Butler being on the court and Jonathan Kuminga being on the court. So that's solved. That's over. Like Steve Kerr
Yeah,
won
like
that. That's done.
what my biggest thing with like all these JK apologists is what's your alternative? Are you benching Draymond Green? Are you benching Jimmy Butler? Like let's be so honest here. Like the guy has no leg to stand on. We've seen it, doesn't work. Move on. Like are we gonna need a JK like player type to win? Maybe, man. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say like having an athletic wing isn't gonna be helpful, but a guy that can't play defense and can't do any of the stuff consistently is just not he's not the answer.
No, I like
Not
I think too, like to what you said, like, is he young? Yes. Does he have potential? Yes. We are done with the
Yeah, this can't go on
potential. We're
potential
done
anymore.
with the potential part of the year. Like the time for potential is over.
Yeah,
Like
I
you
forget
don't
I saw it on Twitter, but somebody was like, dude, the development time is done. Like now it's time to go win games. You gotta go, you're trying to go win 16 games in the playoffs. The guys that are gonna help you do that is not named Jonathan Kuminga, unfortunately. That's not what we thought when we drafted him in 2021. That's what not what the hope was. It's a massive disappointment all around, front office, coaching, player, wherever you want to put the blame on, then that's obviously gonna be a lot of offseason conversation. But point being you took a swing on a project and it blew up in your face, and now you can't even play the guy in meaningful games anymore. And that's where you're at. It's hilarious how this gets tossed around, but it's meaningful basketball, man. And JK can't help you win those. So it is what it is. You are where you are. You got another meaningful game coming up here on Tuesday. Um, Memphis, man, playing time, 7 versus 8. We've been here, literally been in this exact situation before. I think it was 2021, so 4 years ago. Uh, John Morant, Dylan Brooks, and those guys ending the Warriors. Really, one of Steph's best regular seasons, if you want to look at like just numbers wise. But this time around, Warriors looking to exercise the demons, 0-3 in the play-in. What are you guys thinking going into Tuesday night? I mean, obviously must win in the sense of like fucking if you want to do something serious in the playoffs, but technically chance one of two to get into the dance. Matt, talking man, just give me your thoughts going into this game. What do you need to see? Like where's your stress level at going into tomorrow night? And then I guess I mean yeah, where's that at going into tomorrow night?
it's high, but I'm gonna watch the fourth quarter only, most likely the way my schedule is lining up, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm somewhat happy about it. I for some reason anticipated a dub on Sunday privately and internally, and that led to me making plans for Tuesday. Anyway, so yeah, I feel okay about it. And kind of here's I originally thought about um, this being a dangerous game because well, I just think we kind of underestimate the power of hate sometimes. Okay, and I think that the Grizzlies fucking hate the Warriors. But guess what? I think the two guys who hated them the most are gone, and those two guys are Taylor Jenkins and Dylan Brooks. Brooks has been gone for a minute, obviously, um, but listen, they need to win this game. I don't really care about the circumstances. I know that the problem is this team is banged up. Steph's thumb, it looks like it's hanging on by a thread. Jimmy got a dead leg, man, which I know sounds well like woohoo. That shit hurts. It's going to be a tough game. Memphis does not like this team. Ja doesn't like this team, but they're also not that good right now, right? They're down to their sixth best player. They're down. I mean, again, say what you want about Jenkins. The guy was good, and he was competitive against the Warriors. He wanted to fucking win those games at all costs. He's not there. Um, so stress level is high, but they they should win. With that being said, I'm not going to speak about any series after that game until it's over. Because again, 0-3, anything can happen. Ja can go off. Warriors if people are projecting some struggle against a guy like that, that makes sense. They have size in the way that's kind of bothersome to the Warriors too. JJJ and Edie even. Again, different problems, right? If the Warriors really want to put the guy in a blender, they can. If Jimmy really wants to get Gary Jackson Jr. in foul trouble, he can. But it's a one-off, and that's the whole reason you get out of the plan, or want to get out of the plan. So I am stressed, but I feel like it should be a win. I think they're 7.5 point favorites. I want to say going into the game. Um, Shouts to Jalen Wells, man. Guy took a dirty fall, and yeah, I'm going Dubs. I'm going Dubs on Tuesday, but I'm not feeling the best about it. But I'm not feeling the worst. Chuck.
Yeah, like I'm like every basketball reason for me lines up to say the matchup I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, Zach Edey, we can play that guy right off the court with the shooters we have, with the way we can run small ball against them. Jaren Jackson Jr., it always seems like that guy gets 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes every time we play them. Like Ja not having his best season. He's a guy we can take advantage of. Desmond Bain, we do a good job containing him. And as you said too, like it blows for the Grizzlies that Jalen Wells got hurt because I mean he's a crucial defender for them. He's a great piece. They once again just hit on a pick. He's the only guy that I feel like, ooh, maybe that guy can give Steph some problems because he's long and he moves well. And now he's gone. And now I'm like, I don't know who you put out there that's going to defend Steph. Like, this is just a nightmare matchup for the Grizzlies. And the only thing that gives me pause is how much I fucking hate this tournament and how evil and cursed it has been for us every time we play there. Like, I'm like, all the basketball reasons, everything tells me they're going to win. And the only thing that tells me they're going to lose is like cosmic. Just like, oh, well, we're doomed to lose in this tournament forever. So like you said, Matt, until I see it, I'm not gonna, pretend like, oh, well, it's locked in. Let's get ready for the Rockets. Like, nope, I don't know what that because you slip one game and suddenly it's like, well, here come the Thunder. And now you're in the most brutal part of the bracket imaginable. So I think they're going to win this one. I mean, they're heavy favorites for a reason. They're at home. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be motivated. We just saw them go wire to wire with a much better team in a winner go home, like in a, winner take all kind of scenario. So I still like them a lot in this one, but fuck, am I nervous?
Yeah. No, that's where I'm at. I mean, look, to get over your playing demons, I feel like there's no better guy to get there than Jimmy Butler to get you to the top. I think the guy's won at least 3 playing games, took a team to the finals from there. So, look, I'm with you guys. It should be a dub. I would be shocked if they lost this game, to be honest. But like you said, Chuck, don't want to get too ahead of yourselves. The shitty part about this tournament is it is one game. We've been on the brutal end of a lot of games where just some random fucker just gets hot. So that you open yourself up to that. It's the whole reason why you want to lock in a top 6 seed. That is where the nervousness comes in. But I'm with you. I think the motivation of getting over the play-in demons, locking in 4 days before facing the Rockets, getting some time to catch your breath, game plan, get a couple practices in. Um, Tomorrow feels like it is the season, though. I will say that if they lose tomorrow night and they have to play another play-in game, if they can't, I mean, if they can't beat Dallas or Sacramento, you don't deserve to be in there anyways. But assuming they get there, like you're not going to beat OKC, regardless of how well you match up with them when they've been resting for a week and a half, and you've had to play 3 extra games that have all
And
been
they're on average, 9 years younger.
yeah, and like you've played 3 straight winner go home games and you went 1-2. So tomorrow is in my eyes the season. They can't there's no chance of a long playoff run unless they can win it tomorrow night. That rest is huge, being able to just catch your breath. Like I said, this is going to be their 11th game in like 17 or 18 days. So you're at the very end of a very long stretch, brutal, where you've had to have pretty much all of them. They've done well for the most part. Finish the job tomorrow night, get that rest, and lock in to go win 16, man. I think the Warriors can do it. Memphis hasn't beaten a winning team in the West since like January or something. There's some crazy stat that I saw.
Well, don't say that, man, because that means they're
Yeah,
fucking
I know
due.
that that's
So
fair. That also just opens up to more hilarious karmic bullshit. So, sorry guys if we are here for a second playing game. That's my fault. But we'll see, man. One game, win or go home, or win or stay home for one more. Warriors got a chance to get their playoff campaign kicked off. Feels like they've been playing a lot of those games recently, but tomorrow night's the first one that really counts for this hopeful fifth title run. But before we get out of here, guys, anything up? Any predictions? Quick we'll do some playoff predictions after. But Chuck's or Matt, anything else before we call it here? Going into the playing game?
Oh man, as always, check my stuff out on the DraftKings network. I'll be writing about there basically every day. And whenever things get settled with this playing tournament, I will have a preview for whatever series we got on deck. Hopefully, with the series on deck. If not, I will be miserable and crying and will not want to write anything about the Warriors. So there you go.
Heard it here first, man. Hopefully you give Chuck a nice Rockets preview to deep dive for us so we can talk about it after a few days off. But until the next episode, guys, go Dubs. Let's lock in the seventh seed. Let's get this playoff started. Peace.